with Furniture Today. We're here at Four Seasons in Orlando for day one of our leadership conference. We just had two outstanding keynote addresses. I'm here with John Burns. So first of all, tell us a little bit about, you really talked about the intersection between the housing industry and the furniture industry. Tell us a little bit about some of the things people should keep in mind, that business owners should keep in mind going forward with that.
There's so much. I mean, new construction drives a lot of furniture purchasing, obviously, and the builders are having a tough time making normal margins right now. So that's one of the reasons why the housing market is recovering so slowly. In the book we wrote, Big Shifts Ahead, we came up with something we called a 4-5-6 rule, which is the 4 big influencers during your 5 main life stages answer the 6 key questions. And those are, the 4 big influences are government. So with the new president, government policy has impacted things a lot in the past, so we're going to be paying a lot of attention to the new policies. The second one would be the economy, which is kind of obvious, but it really impacts people differently at different life stages. So those in their 30s and 40s have been impacted much differently than those in their 50s and 60s, and those that are older have done much better. Technology and societal shifts are the other two.
Well, and one thing I want to mention, because I think it's fascinating, you know, we've kind of fallen into the demographic of baby boomer, Gen X, millennial, and you really break it down differently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, those are big shifts in birth patterns, but you can't talk about 16 and 32-year-olds in the same breath and 52-year-olds and 70-year-olds in the same generation. They're very, very different. So we looked at the generations by decade born and by year born, and it just makes so much more sense. And you can see the transition of the older millennial is so much different than the younger millennial, and they're having children now, and that's one target buyer. And then the younger millennial is living with mom and dad and going to rent an apartment. That's a completely different target buyer. So it just makes more sense.
So for furniture retailers going forward, what ages do they need to pay the most attention to at this stage of the game?
Well, we showed them that if you look at it by decade born, the population is pretty even. However, those born in the 1970s were the ones who've been traditionally big furniture buyers, because that's when they're in their late 30s, early 40s. That's when you typically buy a move-up home. They were the ones who really got burned during the downturn because of family reasons, bought their home in the early 2000s, got foreclosed on heavy. That traditional buyer is going to be lower than normal going forward. It has been so far, and lower than normal going forward. I didn't want to say don't focus on them, but the wealth and the growth is going to be on the older buyers, and strong growth, but not as much income in the younger buyers.
Well, it's fascinating. So tell people again the name of your book.
Big Shifts Ahead.
And if you weren't here, you missed a fascinating look at the intersection of these industries. We'll have more coverage in Furniture Today. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.